Net neutrality is in the news again and the debate is heating up. So I know a lot of people, when you hear about this term, you just click the X button and turn off and have no idea what we're talking about. So I'm going to break it down very, very simply for you. So the basic principle of net neutrality is exactly this. All content on the internet should be treated equally. Now, there are a lot of people going around when they're talking about, for example, Netflix and stuff like that, and we will talk about that. But there is also other points that people are completely missing, so let's break it all down. The major thing that people use when they talk about net neutrality is they're talking about your internet speeds from your ISP. So, for example, say you're watching Netflix and Netflix has a deal with your ISP. You might get your full speeds out of that. But say, for example, you don't watch Netflix. Say you want to watch Hayu or Amazon Prime, for example. Then at the end of the day, it is actually possible for your ISP to slow down services to those providers or those services to give favorable service to Netflix. And that's one big issue where a lot of the internet has problems, because you are starting to treat services that have different advantages over certain providers. It is actually able to kill services or kill competition just by simply doing that. Now that is obviously when it comes to slowing services down. It is also entirely possible for your broadband service to block certain websites or services that they do not like. For example, let's go very controversial here. Let's go to InfoWars, for example. Now, whether you like this service or whether you like this website or their YouTube channel or whatever it may be, at the end of the day, I believe everybody has the right to freedom of speech. It's written in the US Constitution, so it's there. But at the end of the day, it is entirely possible for your ISP or internet provider to go through and block that website because they do not like their content. Now, obviously, at the end of the day, this is an extreme example, but say it's something not like InfoWars. Say, for example, they want to go through and they have an issue with Netflix because they went through and brought up Amazon Prime. Then they might go through and actually block Netflix and cause people to not be able to access their service. Now, the biggest argument I hear regarding net neutrality and that situation is, well, you can just change service providers. Well, actually, it's not that easy. 21% of the American population have no access to no providers. 16% of the population have access to two providers. 2% have access to three or more providers, and a whopping 61% of Americans have access to only one provider. How are you going to go shopping around when 61% of your population doesn't actually have access to another provider? And at the end of the day, also, if this provider in this area has already the infrastructure, how much do you think it's going to cost another company to come in and set up, basically on the proviso that they might get a few extra clients, especially when net neutrality guarantees that the new other providers have access to the infrastructure that's already there? If without net neutrality, that means that doesn't necessarily happen, so any new provider that comes through does not guarantee access to the old provider's infrastructure, and at the end of the day means they have to go through and have a very costly startup. Especially at the moment when people are facing more and more censorship on platforms like, for example, YouTube and Twitter, it is painfully obvious that net neutrality is always a best way to go, just because of the fact that it does make the internet open and free. The last thing we want as consumers is the internet or service providers going through and making backroom deals with other service providers to give preferential treatment and or to slow down the internet. And that's why I strongly suggest everybody, I have got a link in the description below. It is a petition for net neutrality. It is all the information where you can go and support this. Please do go through and support this cause. Apart from that, guys, let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. Do you support net neutrality or not? Let me know what your thoughts are. Apart from that, if this video has been helpful, please give it a like. If you're new to the channel, welcome and subscribe. And apart from that, guys, I'll see you in the next video.